Dear readers, we're gathered here today for a second week so that I may share with you again two of my greatest loves, books from small presses and farm fresh produce. We get a box of fresh produce delivered every week from a local farm. It's called a CSA, or Community Supported Agriculture. And as I said last week, these veggies are too beautiful to keep to myself, and the books I've been reading are too great to keep to myself as well. So we're combining them again this week. Help me unpack these veggies while I talk about these 5 books, some of which I have recently read, some of which I am looking forward to reading soon, from 5 different small publishers. I can't wait to get started. Let's get going. This week I finished Zone by Matthias Eynard, translated by Charlotte Mandel and published by Open Letter. Zone has been described as a modern-day Iliad. It follows a French-born Croat named Francis who has been working as a spy for France for over a decade. The whole novel takes place on a single train ride from Milan to Rome, where Francis plans to deliver a suitcase full of secrets and then disappear with a new identity. Over 24 chapters, the same as the number of books in the Iliad, Francis cycles through his memories of war and violence and gives us a litany of atrocities committed throughout history in the Mediterranean. This is often marketed as a novel written in a single sentence, though that's not entirely true. Throughout the novel are excerpts from a book Francis is reading on the train about a Palestinian woman fighting in Beirut during the Lebanese Civil War, and those sections have a more traditional approach to sentences with periods galore. As I said last week, Zone is brutal. It is about the unending machine of war and the people like Francis who get caught up in it, committing atrocities of their own. I found it hard to put down, even though many of it was also very hard to read, and it gave me a lot to think about. For example, how to judge Francis for his crimes while also feeling sympathy for the horrors he's gone through. Another book I just finished is Electric Shamans at the Festival of the Sun by Monica Ojeda, translated by Sarah Booker, published by Coffeehouse Press earlier this year. I'm so glad I stuck with this book because the first third was a bit slow going for me. The novel is ostensibly about 2 best friends, Noah and Nicole, attending the Solar Noise Festival, a week-long retro-futuristic gathering at the foot of an active volcano. But it's actually narrated by a rotating cast of characters, including Nicole, but also several of the young people the girls meet at the festival. Each narrator's perspective revolves around Noah. They all observe as Noah gets caught up in the atmosphere of the festival. Something spiritual is happening with her. She starts sleepwalking and falling in with a strange crowd. Most of the narrators also get caught up in the revelry too, in one way or another, except Nicole, who remains skeptical and concerned they're being led down a dangerous path by a man called the Poet. Later in the novel, we get a new narrator. It's Noah's father, who abandoned Noah when she was 8. His sections were a turning point for me. The pace really picked up and things got interesting, and by the end, it was clear that this novel is about characters who are all trying to escape violence and pain, both from their pasts and the present. Their hometowns in Ecuador are plagued by gang warfare, volcano eruptions, family drama. Each of them seeks relief from that trauma in different ways through music, dance, drugs, nature, and one another. This makes me really curious to read Jawbone by the same author, which I thought I owned but can't find. I mentioned last week that I was hoping to start The Light Room by Kate Zambrino, published by Transit Books, and now I'm over halfway through it. It is nonfiction that takes place during the pandemic, all about parenting 2 young daughters while working, writing, and thinking. The writing is beautiful, and it's bringing up a lot of memories and emotions related to my own time parenting a preschooler during the pandemic. I'll wait to share my full thoughts once I've finished the book. And finally, I want to share 2 recently published books that I just purchased. It recently came to my attention that 2 novels with a very similar subject matter were published within a year of each other, both from small presses. The first is from Book Hug Press, published in November 2025, called The Last of Its Kind by Sybil Grimbert, translated from French by Alicia Jensen. The second is from 7 Stories Press, published in March 2026, Field Notes from an Extinction by Owen Walls. When I saw Field Notes from an Extinction come out in March, I took one look at that cover and thought, I've seen this before. Is this a re-release? Nope, it's 2 different books about the same species of bird.
If you can tell me the name of the bird pictured on these covers in the comments, I'll give you a shout out in my next video. No cheating and looking it up though. I can't tell you anything else about these novels yet because I want to go into them fresh without too much background so I can see how these authors tackled a similar topic in their own way, and I can't wait to tell you more. That's it for fresh reads from this week. I'll leave you with some footage of some of the meals we've been making with all of this beautiful produce. As a reminder, I dedicate my channel to books from small presses because that's what I love to read. And that's where I believe some of the most interesting things in literature are happening. And I have a sneaking suspicion you feel the same way too if you've made it this far. Thanks so much for joining me for this edition of Chapter and Chives, Fennel and Fiction, the Radish Reviews, whatever you want to call it. My name is Sarah, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!